This might be the most pointless review I'll ever do because you knew before you clicked whether or not this was made with you in mind. It's simple. If you happen to be an affluent sim racer with an infatuation for Ford's Mustang GT3, then this product feels like a laser guided bullseye shot made just for you, a dream come true. An officially licensed Ford product at that. It has the blessing of the big name itself. Made by UK-based company VPG Sim, who have recently partnered up with BF1, who make and assemble many real-world racing steering wheels, this is exciting to see even if you have no intention to buy. Let's have a look. VPG Sim has loaned the wheel for review. It's being sent back to them once I'm done with it. On that note, should you decide to buy, you can get £50 off when you order from vpgsim.co.uk with the discount code in the video description, or find regional resellers link below too. Presented in a wonderful box, you feel like you've got something special in your possession. It gives off an aura before you even look inside. Even if you had no idea what it was, you'd know it's clearly a collector's edition something. Good thing too, starting at £1,599 excluding VAT, this is at the high end, so it needs to be an experience just to own this. I'd say the box puts the right foot forward at least. Upon opening, you'll first lay eyes on the wheel and you'll be met with the reality of things. The lovely carbon shell, the range of materials and level of execution you just cannot find at the lower end of the scale. Although this is not VPG's fault, visually, let's be honest with ourselves, the Mustang GT3 wheel has very little defining character or flair of its own. It might be one of the blandest looking wheels in the entire GT3 lineup today. No Ford branding really, besides the top plate which has the Mustang GT3 logo embossed within, but not much colour to speak of either, otherwise almost nothing proud or distinctly unique about it, which is a shame, but what can you do? It's an authentic model, it looks almost exactly the same in the real car. But then you'll pick it up and feel how unrealistically lightweight it is. The whole wheel itself is just a smidge over 1100 grams. Plus whatever wheel hub you attach to it in the end, but the overall weight is impressively low. When things are cheap, they feel lightweight but flimsy. When things are good quality, they feel heavy but solid. But when things are premium, they feel lightweight but solid. This is premium quality, no doubt. The feeling of the carbon fibre shell is spectacular and exotic. You'll be admiring and touching it for a while just because it feels so mysteriously race spec. It's not like everyday items are made out of genuine carbon fibre, so enjoy it. Now, although this wheel shares an incredible amount of real DNA with the real thing, it is not the real thing, and I do think some of the wording on the site can be misinterpreted. I quote a blurb directly from VPG Sim's site. This isn't a replica, it's the real steering wheel from the Mustang GT3 race car, re-engineered for sim racing. Now some might read that and take that to mean that this is the real exact Mustang wheel, the very same from the car, in the same way that Fanatec's BMW M4 wheel is the real exact BMW wheel. To be clear, it's not. It is a sim-specific version adapted for sim racing with the necessary circuitry and switches to make that possible. What it is an extremely faithful product, officially licensed by Ford, built in lockstep with BF1, the people that do build the real wheel, using much of the very same facilities, moulds and parts that are used for the real one. The carbon fibre body is made and laid the exact same way except for the lacquered finish, the grips are moulded from the same mould, and much more. Nobody else can possibly match that authenticity unless you literally buy the real thing. It's superb, but I just wouldn't be doing justice to the review if I didn't emphasise that point to make sure there was no confusion over that, because it would confuse some people. I'll be testing this out on my VRS wheelbase, so I'm attaching a VRS hub to the extension VPG supplied. That VPG extension is optional, so read the product info to determine if you need it. I need it because the VRS hub I need to use is 70mm diameter, whereas the interface on the wheel itself is 50.8. If you're not sure whether you need it, then you probably do need it. It's not a wireless wheel, it uses a screw-fit coiled cable of good quality. You'll need to connect that to a USB port near to your wheelbase, but remember, for reliable results, you should connect it to a powered USB port or hub. The first thing you might clock when you lay your hands on it are the grips. There's something a bit off. The material is great, nice and tacky, but the grips have this distinct mould flash that runs down the middle on the inside and outside edges, and it's not just mine, others have noted the same. If you wear gloves, you won't feel this one bit and you won't mind. But if you don't wear gloves, I think this will bother you, at least if you have the baby-like hands of a desk job worker, like me, because it bothers me. I asked VPG if this was something they consider an issue, or if there's any plans to change it. They replied that they're aware of it, but because the grips are made in the exact same mould as the real wheel, they can't go modifying it and they don't have plans to change it right now. I sympathise with the fact that they can't alter the factory mould, and it can't really be fixed afterwards either without ruining the finish. You can't sand it off because it will never ever look right afterwards. Almost all moulded parts have flash lines, it's just that these ones are pretty big, and for the price you pay, you wouldn't expect them to be there. You'd expect a near seamless finish, and VPG do know how to achieve that, it's just that their hands seem to be tied. Unfortunately, this means that your options are to wait for these flash lines to wear away naturally with time and usage, wear gloves, or just get on with it. When driving, the lightweight construction can really shine, and it's one of the biggest upsides of a wheel of this grade. It's a 310mm wheel, but it has the agility and fine detail transmission of something much smaller. It's exceptionally wispy and free of inertia for something of this size. Whilst that won't have a massive impact on your experience on the higher powered bases, it makes a big difference at the lower end to have a lighter wheel, though it is unlikely anyone would own this wheel and not own a top end wheelbase as well. Shifts feel lovely and tactile, with a fairly short throw and a very distinct magnetic brake in the action. The clutch pedals have quite a long and springy throw, but they're not as much of a priority for GT3 like it would be on Formula wheels. They do the job just fine. The buttons and dials feel really nice. They are an automotive grade and of high quality, and you can tell. With lovely domed caps which are supplied in a pack so you can customise the layout, and are clear in order to allow the LED wheel lights to shine through unimpeded. There are 10 illuminated buttons and 3 illuminated rotary dials, which are fully customisable within SimHub, as well as 2 additional unlit buttons to the rear and 2 funky switches as well. The top 2 rotary dials are your typical dial, but the bottom one is actually a mode switching magic switch, which alters the function of certain buttons depending on where the magic switch is set to, which can also be customisable in a imminent software update. Long story short, there are many more buttons available to you than just what you physically see here, so if you're worried about an instrument shortage, you needn't be. SimHub, if you're not familiar with it, is a tool that in this context will allow you to customise the lighting effects on the Mustang GT3 wheel to almost comically complex levels, so if you like to tinker around with that kind of thing, you won't be disappointed. Though, if you don't like to tinker around with that kind of thing, you don't need to either. The default profile has plenty of life to it, as is. The one feature it lacks, for good reason, because the real wheel also lacks it, as do many others in the GT3 class, is a dedicated rev light or shift indicator. This is something, however, that the buttons can be customised to do, so you're not completely lightless. There are not many wheels of such authentic breed out there today. There's the Porsche Cup wheel for £8,000, there's the Simrep Cosworth wheel for €9,500, Simlabs F1 wheel for £2,300, Fanatec's €1,500 BMW M4 wheel actually is the real wheel, so they have credit for that, though it's a slight outlier because it's been designed to be the real wheel from the start. VPG has previously produced an £1,800 clone of the Porsche GT3R wheel which I tested. It was divine, but it wasn't officially licensed, so it couldn't bear the real crest logo. This is different. The Mustang GT3 wheel, when viewed in that context, may be expensive in outright terms at £1,600 excluding VAT, but that's in fact near the lower end if you're talking premium, authentic items of high-grade materials, especially ones that carry the official seal of a manufacturer. It might not be as extravagant as some sim racing wheels, but if you're looking at this, that's not what you're looking for. You're searching for a specific type of sim racing hardware, a piece of realism that feels like it's conducting the spirit of a real car into your sim rig. Luckily, the real Mustang GT3 is an attractive car that's easy to love and a race winner now as well, so there will be zealous and hopelessly smitten fans that want to reach out and grab a piece of that. How many of them will have this sort of money is unknown, but even if it's out of reach for you, it ain't out of sight. If you're anything like me, it brings me joy to see more officially licensed stuff available, and I hope to see more of it, particularly at the cheaper end of the scale. You knew before you clicked on this video whether you wanted this or not. It's a passion purchase aimed squarely at the Ford infatuated. But hopefully after this video, you know more about what to expect inside the box. And that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, then by all means, fire away in the comments. Once more, don't forget, you can chop £50 off at vpgsim.co.uk using code DLEE25. Other retailers are also found in the description below. Cheers.